Okay, we're going to get on this in a minute here. Gotta do that so I can get this in front of me. What a piece of junk. All right. Well, I'm going to admit right here at the offset, if I suddenly stop, it's because my dog's wandered off someplace right now. He's busy chewing on Baby Yoda. Or Yoda, actually. Little Yoda. Little Yoda. Okay, so I better get on this then. Tonight, wrapping up the Star Trek novel timeline, The Old Republic expands, the Emmy nominations, and we remember artist Stephen Hickman, author William Nolan, and actor Charlie Robinson. All that and more on the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight! Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 133 of Multiverse Tonight, the sci-fi edition. I'm, of course, your host, Thomas Townley. And if I seem a bit distracted today, it's because our new puppy Roscoe is currently wandering around behind me, and so I've kind of got to keep one ear open. So if you won't notice in the podcast because of course I will have edited that out. But for those of you watching live, and you can watch live every other week, starting around 1 p.m. Central Time. If you are watching live, you will probably see me stop every now and then just to check and see where the puppy is located. Right now, he's under my feet. Other than that, we're doing pretty well here. We've got the puppy sleeping through the night, So, we're much better off than we were 2 weeks ago. I can tell you that. Now we just have to work on, getting him potty trained, getting him to stop, biting at our feet, things like that. And we have a month till Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, and I'm, excited for that because that's the first Comic-Con we've gone to in, nearly 18 months. So they have lots of good guests there. They have they had Brent Spiner and Gates McFadden, from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Sam Jones from Flash Gordon is there. There's a couple of AEW wrestlers, a bunch of people from Supernatural, a couple of the kids from Stranger Things. It's a grab bag. Calling it a Comic-Con is really doesn't work anymore. It's more like a pop culture convention. But we'll be looking forward to that, and hopefully, maybe I'll get some, interviews, at least some footage. By the way, if you want to see our puppy, head on over to our Instagram, Multiverse Tonight, and I've been putting him up because, puppies are cute, and hopefully they'll draw some new subscribers. Anyway, let's go on to the Star Trek news. The first 4 original Star Trek movies will be re-released in a new 4K Ultra HD collection to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the original series. The collection will include Star Trek the Motion Picture, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, both the theatrical and director's cuts, Star Trek III The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV The Voyage Home, all in 4K UHD and digital. Now, each film is newly remastered and presented with Dolby Vision and HDR10. The motion picture will have an ISLID score in 2.0. The collection will cost around $70 and will be out on September 21st. Now, it should also be noted that Paramount and Paramount Plus have announced a full restoration of the director's edition of Star Trek. The motion picture has been greenlit. The movie will be prepared in presentation in 4K Ultra HD with Dolby Vision HDR and a new Dolby Atmos soundtrack. The restoration will take up to 8 months, and it will launch with an exclusive window on Paramount Plus. Also being released is the original series in a Blu-ray Steelbook set. The set has every episode of the series and 9 hours of bonus features inside a snazzy Steelbook case design. You can order it now for around $109 US, and it'll be released on the anniversary of the series on September 7th. A new Star Trek Picard story will be told in Uma McCormack's new book, Star Trek Picard: Second Self. This novel focuses on Raffi Musiker's life following Season 1. Here's the synopsis, quote, "A thrilling untold adventure based on the acclaimed Star Trek Picard TV series. Following the explosive events seen in Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, Raffi Musiker finds herself torn between returning to her old life as a Starfleet intelligence officer or something a little more tame, teaching at the academy perhaps. The decision is made for her, though, when a message from an old contact, a Romulan spy, is received, asking for immediate aid. With the help of Cristobal Rios and Dr. Agnes Girardi, and assistance from Jean-Luc Picard, Raffi decides to take on this critical mission, and quickly learns that past sins never stay buried. Finding the truth will be complicated and deadly." The novel will be released on April 26th, 2022. Paramount Plus will be presenting a couple of panels for Comic-Con at Home on Friday, July 23rd, beginning at 10 p.m. Pacific Time. The panels will cover Star Trek Prodigy and Lower Decks. Season 2 of Lower Decks will premiere on August 12th. Can't wait. The Star Trek novel version of post-Voyager Star Trek might be coming to an end with the Star Trek Coda trilogy. The 3 books, Moments Asunder by our pal Dayton Ward, The Ashes of Tomorrow by James Swallow, and Oblivion's Gate by David Mack are now available to pre-order on Amazon, and the pre-order page has promised a little insight into what the books will be about. Quote, "Here's a synopsis for Moments Asunder. Reality itself is under attack. The epic Star Trek Coda trilogy begins with the unexpected arrival of an old friend, triggers a desperate mission to avert a fast-spreading temporal disaster. The Ashes of Tomorrow continues the story. The synopsis reads, the future is at war with the past. The epic Star Trek Coda trilogy continues as friends become foes, the temporal apocalypse accelerates, and the catastrophe's true cause is revealed. And it all concludes in Oblivion's Gate, which synopsis reads, their most daunting mission will be their finest hour. The epic Star Trek Coda trilogy comes to a shattering conclusion as the temporal apocalypse forces Starfleet's greatest heroes to make the greatest sacrifices of their lives, unquote. So is this the end of this version of events, or are they trying to set this as an alternate timeline, like the Kelvin timeline is? I guess we'll have to find out when Star Trek Coda Moments Asunder releases on September 28th. The next Star Trek movie will be directed by Matt Shakman, who directed the Emmy-nominated MCU series WandaVision. According to Deadline, production on the film has been fast-tracked and will begin production in the spring from a script by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson-Dwart. The movie will be produced by J.J. Abrams. Playmates Toys, the company that made Star Trek toys from 1992 to 1999, is returning to the franchise. StarTrek.com has announced that a new license agreement has been struck with the toy company for action figures, vehicles, ships, roleplay, and other toy categories for all Star Trek properties. Now, Playmate's new Star Trek toy line will start with Star Trek Prodigy in 2022. Dion Valchos, Executive Vice President of Hardlines and Retail at Viacom CBSD Consumer Products, said about the deal in a statement, quote, as Star Trek readies to beam into the kids' space for the first time with Star Trek Prodigy on Paramount Plus, we are thrilled to also enter the toy aisle with Playmates, offering a new generation of fans out of this world toys that will allow them to embark on their own Star Trek adventures at home. Now, Playmates Toys has deep experience in developing Star Trek figures and playsets. In fact, they help to define and raise the stature of the range of collectibles. The expertise and ingenuity they plan to bring to figures, ships, and more will elevate the play experience for kids and collectors alike, unquote. Now, fans can expect toys and action figures, of course, for Discovery, Lower Decks, Picard, and any past or future Star Trek content. Now, is there a character you want a new action figure of? And with that thought, we head on over to the Star Wars news.
Roger, Roger.
Viz Media will be releasing a new Star Wars tribute art book featuring art from 45 manga creators and illustrators. They announced it via Twitter, saying, quote, explore the galaxy through the beautiful artwork of 45 outstanding Japanese manga artists and illustrators, including Akira Akawa, Taiyo Matsumoto, and Yoshikazu Yoshikawa. Star Wars tribute to Star Wars drops spring 2022, unquote. Now, speaking of Star Wars and anime, the series of anime-themed short series called Star Wars Visions will be getting a spin-off novel. Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel, is inspired by Kamikaze Duga's The Duel, helmed by director Takanobu Mishunu, and written by Emma Miko Condon. StarWars.com describes the book this way, quote, Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel by Emma Miku Kendon, coming October 12th, will expand on the world of The Duel, telling the story of a former unnamed Sith, known only as Ronin, i.e. a wandering samurai, as he travels the galaxy. According to James Waugh of the Lucasfilm Story Group and executive producer of Star Wars Visions, there was too much left to explore in Mizuno's vision, for lack of a better term, to stop with one tale. Of all the shorts, The Duel felt most rife for an ongoing story in a novel, another one of Ronin's adventures. One of the things I always loved about the short was that it was clear there was a larger history at play, that this wasn't the first adventure this warrior had been through, and certainly won't be their last. What are those stories? The team at Kamikaze Duga were very generous in obliging our interest in continuing the storyline and had a ton of ideas to lend in the creative process. Visions allows us to explore Star Wars expressed in new ways, and this book is unlike anything we've done before, unquote. The novel will be out on October 12th. Speaking of Star Wars Visions, the 9 different anime shorts that will debut on Disney Plus this fall have had their titles and studios revealed during the panel at Anime Expo Light 2021. Here's the list. And apologies on my pronunciation of names. Kamikaze Duga, The Duel, which we already mentioned. Geno Studio Twin Engine, Lop and Ocho. Studio Colorado Twin Engine has Tattoon Rhapsody, Trigger, The Twins and the Elder, Knima Citrus, The Village Bride, Science Saru, Akire and TO-B1. Production IG will do The Ninth Jedi. A new expansion for the MMO Star Wars The Old Republic has been announced. The new one will be called Legacy of the Sith and will be part of the game's 10th anniversary throughout 2022. The expansion will include changes to the game's larger systems and mechanics, boost the level cap to 80, have a new series of co-op missions, and a brand new flashpoint. Also added will be a new feature known as Combat Styles, which will let players, quote, Combat Styles will allow players to fulfill their ultimate Star Wars fantasy, independently choosing a specific class story and combining it with the ability sets from other related tech or force-wielding classes. Existing, returning, and new players can look forward to improvements in creating their next Star Wars character through a refactored character creation system. In addition, updates to itemization and loadout experiences, as well as streamlined class design, further enhances the Star Wars The Old Republic experience for new, returning, and existing players. Unquote. Now, there's no word on the release date for this new expansion, but it's expected around the 2021 holiday season. Now, let's go on to the geek news. And we begin geek news with the Emmy nominations, which were just announced a couple days ago. Disney is leading the pack with the overall nomination race. Disney racked up 146 nominations for all its platforms, and Warner Media, the parent company of HBO and HBO Max, came in a close second with 138. Netflix dropped the third with 129. Now, if you break it down by series, The Crown and The Mandalorian tied with 24 apiece, with WandaVision coming in second, and The Handmaid's Tale and Saturday Night Live coming in third. Now, this is a long list, and I'm not going to read the entire list, but I'm going to give you an idea of where some of our geekier programs have landed. The Boys, The Mandalorian, and Lovecraft Country are in the running for Outstanding Drama Series. Now, for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, we have Jonathan Majors, who was just in the Loki series, will be getting has a nomination for Lovecraft Country. And Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, Journey Smollett for Lovecraft Country. Now going down, Giancarlo Esposito has a nod for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series. And there's also an Outstanding Limited Series. WandaVision is up for that category. And Hamilton, Hamilton isn't sci-fi or anything like that, but I gotta mention Hamilton did get a bunch of nominations in the limited series category. Catherine Hahn from WandaVision is up for an Outstanding Supporting Actress in a limited series or movie nod. And Don Cheadle is up for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's up against Timothy Olyphant for The Mandalorian and Carl Weathers for The Mandalorian. In Outstanding Animated Program, Big Mouth, Bob's Burgers, Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, The Simpsons, and South Park's Pandemic Special are all up for the award there. So may the best animated series win. And again, there are dozens of categories, lots of nominations. I'll have the full list to those nominations up on the show notes. Filmmaker Quentin Tarantino has bought another theater. He dropped the news on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast. He said that he had bought the Vista Theater in Los Feliz. Quote, "When we opened up the New Beverly about 2 weeks ago in June, we sold out every show. And I'll announce one thing here that people don't know yet. I bought the Vista. We're going to probably open it up around Christmas time, and again, only film, but it won't be a revival house. We'll show new movies that come out. Where they give us a film print, we'll show new stuff. It's not going to be like the New Beverly. The New Beverly has its own vibe. The Vista is like a crown jewel kind of thing. So it will be the best prints. We'll show older films, but they'll be like older films where you can hold a fortnight engagement." Unquote. Now, this is, as I mentioned, Tarantino's second theater purchase. He bought the LA Landmark New Beverly back in 2007. And finally, we close, of course, with the sad news. Award-winning sci-fi and fantasy painter Stephen Hickman passed away this past Friday. Now, Mr. Hickman's work has graced the covers of 300 sci-fi and fantasy novels since the early 1970s for companies like Ace, Baen, Ballantine, Bantam, Berkeley, Del Rey, Doubleday, Phage Press, Tor, and Warren Publications. For his work, he won 6 Chesley Awards from the Association of Science Fiction and Fantasy Artists and a special Hugo Award for a set of stamps he created for the U.S. Postal Service in 1993. He was 72 years old. Next, author William F. Nolan has passed away. Now, Nolan was the writer of Logan's Run and other books. His friend Jason V. Brock wrote a eulogy for him, so I'll let his words speak for his friend. Quote, "Born in Kansas City, Missouri, William F. Nolan was an only child. His father, Michael Cahill Nolan, was an adventurer and sportsman. His mother, Bernadette Marina Kelly Nolan, was a stenographer. The family resided on Forest Avenue in a predominantly Irish section of the city. Nolan spent his youth riding his bike up and down nearby Troost Avenue, close to the Isis Theater, meeting with friends to spend hot days in the cool of the movie palace, where they watched westerns, ate candy, and reveled in the adventures of Tom Mix and other film heroes of the day. An avid reader, he devoured Max Brand comic books, especially Batman, the pulps, and had other books he could get his hands on. He held very fond memories of his childhood. Later, the family moved to Chula Vista, California, just after World War II. Nolan wasn't able to serve due to his flat feet and poor vision. Though the times were hard, his cherished parents had unflinching Irish roots, and the family endured, eventually winding up in Los Angeles. It was during this time Nolan caught the science fiction fandom bug. Talented at drawing, Nolan spent many hours working as an artist, including a stint at Hallmark Cards in Kansas City. Still enthralled with pulps such as Black Mask, Weird Tales, and comics, especially Jack Kirby's output, movies eventually became his greatest enthusiasm, and for years he attended several a week. Being in LA only added to his interest in all forms of genre, from noir to horror to science fiction. Once established in LA, he stumbled across a fresh new writer named Ray Bradbury, becoming an instant convert. Seeking Bradbury out, by 1952, he had learned enough about him to compile his first serious book, Ray Bradbury Review. It contained a mix of art, stories, and nonfiction, including pieces by writer Chad Oliver and Bradbury. After a few years of doing art, active semi-pro fanzine work, and other fan-related organizing, Nolan made his first big professional sale, the Derringer Build-Up, to Playboy, and decided he wanted to be a full-time writer. Around this time, Bradbury introduced Nolan to the man who would become his best friend for 10 years until his untimely death, Mr. Charles Beaumont. Beaumont, Nolan, Richard Matheson, George Clayton Johnson, Chad Oliver, Charles D. Fritsch, Chris Neville, John Temerlin, Marie Wolfe, and several others eventually comprised the group, meeting to discuss stories and hang out together. Nolan's career flourished as a writer and later a screenwriter, primarily for Dan Curtis. Logan's Run, which he co-wrote with the late George Clayton Johnson, propelled both men into the public consciousness in a major way, especially after the release of the classic MGM film adaptation in 1976. Although Nolan has written roughly 2,000 pieces to include biographies, short stories, poetry, and novels, Logan's Run retains its hold on the public consciousness as a political fable and dystopian warning. As Nolan has stated, that I am known at all is still astonishing to me, as I can so vividly recall the boy flying down the road on his bike in Kansas City all those years ago. My later years have brought me much happiness. I will note especially my current family, Jason and Sonny Brock. We've been a unit for nearly 15 years, and it has been one of the best times of my life. Author, screenwriter, artist, and occasional actor William Francis Nolan passed away without pain on July 15, 2021, during a brief stay in the hospital following complications from an infection. He was 93 years old. He had no living relatives and was married one time. Unquote. Big bucket of win. And now, our final eulogy of the night. Actor Charlie Robinson has passed away. The actor is best known for the role of court clerk Mac Robinson on the 80s sitcom Night Court. He started acting in the 1971 movie Drive, he said, and appeared in The White Shadow, Lou Grant, Roots, The Next Generation, Hill Street Blues, St. Elsewhere, Hotel, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The John Larroquette Show, Project Alf, Touched by an Angel, 9 episodes of Home Improvement, Andy Richter Controls the Universe, House, My Name is Earl, 30 Rock, in which he played himself, Key and Peele, This Is Us, Mom, and many more. He worked up until his passing. Robinson won the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series, as well as an Ovation Award for Best Actor and an NAACP Theater Award for his stage work. Charlie Robinson died on July 11th from cardiac arrest with multi-symptom organ failure due to septic shock and metastatic adenocarcinoma, which is a type of glandular cancer. He was 75 years old. And that brings us to the end of the sci-fi news. Now, be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you'd like to contribute financially, check our show notes, visit our TeePublic store, and so much more. Be sure to head over to the brand new MultiverseTonight.com. If you're a subscriber, please share us with your friends. And if you're brand new to the show, thank you very much. Please be sure to subscribe or follow and leave us with some feedback and let me know how we're doing. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in just 2 days with a brand new comic book edition and 2 weeks with a brand new sci-fi edition. Now please exit the universe in orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2021. All rights reserved. A quick reset, get myself up to stretch my legs, and here's no puppies behind me, and I'll be right back. to go. One, two, this is how we do. Tonight, Loki Forever, The Long Halloween A Little Longer, The Walking Settlement, and we remember Chuck Venera and director Richard Donner. All that and more on the comic book edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 134 of Multiverse Tonight, the comic book edition. You know, as I said, I'm your host, Thomas Townley. And, well, it's not much to talk about at the top of the show today. We're still working on Puppy here. Right now, he's at my feet trying to chew on my rug. He's a little Dickens, you know. As I've mentioned, we've gotten him to sleep through the night, which is a lot better on us. But you know, he's still a puppy, so he's still biting things and stuff like that. But you know, he's a work in progress. We have Planet Comic-Con next month, so we're looking forward to that. There's a lot of great people we want to see. I mean, this is, as I said, first comic convention we've been to in like 18 months, somewhere around there. You know, we're hoping that the people of Missouri, you know, get through their thick skulls, you know, get vaccinated, or at least, you know, especially with a convention like this, wear a mask. You know, try not to, don't give your germs to other people. You know, this is more than convention crud. This is a disease that has grown stronger with every iteration. And really the only way to prevent this is to either mask up all the time or to get vaccinated. And, you know, I've been vaccinated for 4 months. I'm fine. You'll be fine too. So be sure to you know, get out there, get vaccinated, and let's go on to the Marvel Comics news. Thor: Love and Thunder is apparently so crazy, according to Taika Waititi, that, quote, it shouldn't make sense, unquote. The director told Empire, quote, that as he recently wrapped up on production of the Thor sequel and expanded on that original comment, saying, quote, well, just between me and you and the readers, I've done some crazy bleep in my life. I've lived like 10 lifetimes, but it's the craziest I've ever done. If the film's plot remains under wraps, you know, and they're done, unquote. If the film's plot remains under wraps, we do know that Love and Thunder will somehow weave in the return of Natalie Portman's Jane Foster, who is expected to wield Mjolnir at some point in the movie. Plus, Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher, plenty of celebrity cameos, hang time with the Guardians, and Thor with big crimped 80s hair. He went on to add, quote, if you wrote down all the elements of this film, it shouldn't make sense. It's almost like it shouldn't be made. If you walked into the room and said, I want this and this and this, who's in it? These people. What are you going to call it? Love and Thunder. I mean, you'd never work again. Maybe I wouldn't after this, unquote. He also promised that the movie is very different from Ragnarok, saying, quote, it's crazier. I will tell you that. I'll tell you what's different. There'll be more emotion in this film, and a lot more love, and a lot more thunder, and a lot more Thor if you've seen the pictures, unquote. Love and Thunder is due to hit movie theaters in May of 2022. In a new interview with the New York Times, the Suicide Squad director James Gunn said that was Kevin Feige who delivered the news that Gunn had been let go by Marvel Studios after a number of conservative personalities dug up old tweets he made where he joked about pedophilia and rape. Gunn said in an interview, quote, "It was unbelievable, and for a day it seemed like everything was gone. Everything was gone. I was going to have to sell my house. I was never going to be able to work again. That's what it felt like." Unquote. Now, Gunn eventually was scooped up by Warner Brothers to spearhead a new Suicide Squad movie. Now, when asked if he felt like he was a victim of cancel culture, Gunn said, quote, "It's such a bigger issue than that, because cancel culture is also is people like Harvey Weinstein who should be canceled. People who have gotten canceled and then remain canceled, most of those people deserve that. The paparazzi are not just the people on the streets, they're the people combing Twitter for any past sins. All of that sucks. It's painful, but some of it is accountability, and that part of it is good. It's just about finding that balance." Unquote. Gunn, during the interview, spoke about being only the second director to helm both a DC and Marvel film, and the first to receive directing credit on both a Marvel and DC film. Joss Whedon, if you remember, was uncredited for pinch directing Snyder's partially completed Justice League. More on the Suicide Squad in the DC Comics news. The MCU walked away with a total of 28 Primetime Emmy nominations, 23 for WandaVision and 5 for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For more on that, please go back one episode. I'll wait. You back? We have more award nominations. The Television Critics Association award nominations are out. Apple TV's Ted Lasso picked up 5 nominations with a 4-way tie for second place between HBO Max's Hacks, HBO's I May Destroy You, and Mare of Easttown, and Disney Plus's WandaVision, earning 4 nominations apiece. Now, WandaVision got nods for Elizabeth Olsen for Individual Achievement in Drama, Outstanding New Program, Outstanding Achievement in Movies, Miniseries or Specials, and Program of the Year. The Mandalorian received a nomination for Outstanding Achievement in Drama. Congratulations to all those who were nominated, and we wish them the best of luck. Tom Hiddleston, in a Q&A on Tumblr, said that he would readily play Loki for as long as he can, replying to the question, quote, "Would I? Yeah, absolutely. I'm so lucky that I've got to play Loki for this long, and I feel like he's such an interesting character who's been around in human consciousness for so long. And he's got so many different aspects, so many different complex characteristics, that feels like every time I play him, I find out something new, or we get to evolve him or take him down an avenue that we haven't gone down before." Unquote. Now, Loki, which just finished its first season on Disney Plus, with a second one planned. Hiddleston has played the fan favorite villain for over a decade now, and he will be appearing vocally in the upcoming What If series on Disney Plus this August. Now let's go on to that DC Comics news. Batman's The Long Halloween is getting is going to go one issue longer with a new one-shot from Eisner Award-winning Jeff Loeb and artist Tim Sale. Batman, The Long Halloween Special will revisit the story that Loeb and Sale wrote 25 years ago. In the announcement, Jeff Loeb said, quote, "25 years ago, Tim Sale and I set out to tell a mystery tale of how Gotham City went from crime to freaks. The result was Batman, The Long Halloween. We're thrilled to be back at DC revisiting some of our favorite characters, all the while revealing that you may not know the whole story," unquote. Now, Tim Sale added, quote, "As it has always been, working together on Batman has brought out the best of Jeff and myself as Gotham City storytellers. We have been blessed to have the mighty talents of Comicraft's Richard Starkings with us every step of the way, and are very fortunate to welcome colorist Brennan Wagner to help shape our latest venture," unquote. The Batman, The Long Halloween Special, will be out in comic book shops on October 12th for $7.99. The team from Last Podcast on the Left are getting their own DC horror comic book series. DC Horror Presents Soul Plumber comes from the minds of Marcus Parks, Henry Zabrowski, and Ben Kessel, the host of the Last last podcast on the left. The 6-part story is about, quote, Edgar Wiggins, a disgraced former seminary student who is desperate to find a way to answer what he believes is his higher calling. He thinks he's found it in a seminar hosted in a hotel conference room by the Soul Plumbers, who have a machine that could be the secret to delivering souls from Satan. Edgar is too broke to buy in, but that's not enough to stop this true devotee. He steals the blueprints and builds a pirated version of what components he can afford on his gas station attendant's salary. Then he goes after a demon, misses, and ends up pulling up something much worse. Unquote. Soul Plumbers will be the second title in the DC horror imprint and will have the art of John McCrea and will be out on October 5th. The Suicide Squad will be available a few hours early for those with HBO Max. The news came via James Gunn's Twitter feed, in which he posted, quote, "For those of you who can't wait, hashtag The Suicide Squad is coming to you a day early in the US. See it on the evening of Thursday, August 5th, which also happens to be my birthday. Hashtag in Suicide Squad, in Squad we trust," unquote. Now, if you want to wait to see it in theaters, opening night, AMC Theaters will be giving out an exclusive comic book for those of you who want to see the movie on the 5th or on the 6th. Now, this is all part of Gunn's effort to get more people reading comic books, as well as seeing the movie and TV adaptations. Now, let's go over to the Geek News. We begin the Geek News with Netflix's The Witcher Blood Origin, which has cast Michelle Yeoh. The former Star Trek Discovery cast member will be joining as Cyan, who is described as, quote, "Cyan is the very last of her nomadic tribe of sword elves. No one can come close to her artistry with the blade, and no one carries as much loss within their heart. When a chance presents itself to retrieve a stolen sacred sword taken from her fallen tribe by nefarious means, she launches herself into a deadly quest that will change the outcome of the continent," unquote. Now, Yeoh joins Lawrence O'Ferhan Fayal in the 6-episode series described as, quote, "Set in an elven world 1,200 years before the world of The Witcher. Blood Origin tells a story lost to time, the origin of the very first Witcher, and the events that lead to the pivotal conjunction of the spears when the world of monsters, men, and elves merge to become one," unquote. AMC and Walking Dead showrunner Frank Darabont have come to a settlement. Darabont first sued AMC Networks back in 2013, with a second suit coming in 2018. He and his agency, CAA, claimed that the network used shady accounting practices to cheat him of the profits. Now, the original judge seemed to be leaning in Darabont and CAA's favor, causing AMC to hire new lawyers. This past April, an appeals court trimmed Darabont's case with a new jury trial set to go next April. This settlement resolves all litigation and buys Darabont and CAA out most of their rights to the intellectual property from the franchise. In AMC's July 16th report to the U.S. SEC, that's the Security and Exchange Commission, they stated, quote, "The settlement agreement provides for a cash payment of $200 million, the settlement payment, to the plaintiffs and future revenue sharing related to certain future streaming exhibition of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. The company has taken a charge of approximately $143 million in the quarter ending June 30th, 2021, in consideration for the extinguishment of plaintiffs' rights to any compensation in connection with The Walking Dead and any related programs, and the dismissal of the actions with prejudice, which amount is net of approximately $57 million of ordinary course accrued participations. The settlement agreement also includes customary provisions included in such agreements, including providing for mutual releases, covenants not to sue, waivers, confidentiality, non-disparagement, and indemnification for third-party claims," unquote. Now, of course, neither AMC or Darabont are coming on the SEC filing. Now, this leaves a similar legal fight between AMC and others, including Robert Kirkman, still set to go to trial this November. Greta Gerwig will now be directing and producing and co-writing Margot Robbie in a Barbie movie. Gerwig previously directed Little Women and Lady Bird. Now, the movie has been in development hell for years now, At one time, Amy Schumer was attached to star. No word on when it will come out and who will play Ken. The new Masters of the Universe Kevin Smith-led Netflix series, Masters of the Universe Revelation, will begin its own serial via FYE stores. Masters of the Universe Revelation Eternia Crunch cereal is out in stores now and costs $19.99 with a fun Battle Cat toy inside. Now, frankly, folks, from the pictures, this looks like a box of Fruity Pebbles with Master of the Universe plastered on the box. So, caveat emptor, Lotabara, beware. The Boom Studios horror comic series, Something is Killing the Children, will be made into a Netflix series, and Trevor Macy and Mike Flanagan, who made The Haunting of Hill House, Dr. Sleep, and Gerald's Game, will be co-writing and executive producing the pilot. The comic's first story arc told the story of a town plagued by monsters that eat children, with only one teen survivor telling tales that no adult believes. And then a mysterious young woman named Erica Slaughter shows up to take down the monsters. The comic is from James Tynion IV and drawn by Werther Del Edra and was a bestseller. Lionsgate has acquired the worldwide rights to Kevin Smith's Clerks 3. Deadline.com reports the movie, which is now in pre-production in New Jersey, will begin production next month. Now, Smith, of course, has written and will direct, and all major cast members from Clerks will be reprising their roles. The plot, follows a subject Kevin knows all too well, with Randall having a massive heart attack. He then enlists Dante, Elias, Jay, and Silent Bob to make a movie immortalizing his life at the Quick Stop. In a statement, Smith said, quote, "There is a saying from the Tao that goes something like, to be great is to go on is to go further, to go far is to return. Thanks to Lionsgate, we get to return to where it all started with almost this whole cast that started it all. And for the first time since the first time we ever made a movie in 1993, we're shooting the entire flick on location in New Jersey as an ode to both the enduring allure of cinema and the resourcefulness and lunacy of its storytellers. Years ago, Dante and Randall made me a filmmaker, so now it's time I return the favor," unquote. No release date has been set. And finally tonight, Animaniacs voice talent Chick Venera has died. Chick was born in March of 1937 as Francis Venera and became an actor after a stint in the U.S. Army Signal Corps. He starred with a turn in the Broadway production of Grease and acted in shows like Lucas Tanner, Vegas, T.J. Hooker, Night Court, The Golden Girls, The Untouchables, and many more. He broke into voice acting with the Jetsons in 1985 and lent his voice to Foofer, Capital Critters, Batman the Animated Series, Darkwing Duck, Bonkers, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Cow and Chicken, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, and others. But he is best known for his role as Goodfeather Pesto on the original Animaniacs TV show, for which he appeared in 22 episodes. He also taught acting as well. Chick passed away from cancer on July 7th in his home in Burbank, California. Chick Venera was 74 years old. And finally, director Richard Donner has passed away. Now, Donner was responsible for some of the biggest, most iconic movies of the 70s and 80s. Donner was born Richard Donald Schwarzenberg in the Bronx on April 24th, 1930. After high school, he served in the U.S. Navy, becoming an aerial photographer, and then briefly attended New York University, but left to pursue an acting career in L.A., where he adopted the stage name of Richard Donner. Now, after trying his hand at acting, director Martin Ritt encouraged him to become a director instead and hired him on as his assistant. He started with commercials, and by the late 1950s, he was directing episodes of westerns like Wanted Dead or Alive and The Rifleman. He would go on to direct episodes of shows like Route 66, Wagon Train, Have Gun, Will Travel, The Lieutenant, The Twilight Zone, in which he directed William Shatner in the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet episode, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gilligan's Island, Perry Mason, Get Smart, The Fugitive, Wild Wild West, The Banana Splits Adventure Hour, Cannon, Kojak, Tales from the Crypt, for which he was nominated for a Cable Ace Award and also served as executive producer, and many others. He broke into movie directing with 1961's X-15 and would direct such movies as The Omen, Superman, The Toy, The Goonies, Lethal Weapons 1, 2, 3, and 4, Scrooged, Maverick, and many more. A dispute with the producers of the Superman franchise led to his name being taken off Superman 2. He also served as an executive producer on a bunch of films, such as The Omen 3, The Lost Boys, the Free Willy movies, and the first X-Men movie, and his company produced all the X-Men movies following. He also got to write an Action Comics issue following alongside Jeff Johns, and in his personal life, he married film producer Lauren Schuler in 1986, merging their respective production companies into one. Richard Donner passed away on July 5th. He was 91 years old. And that brings us to the end of the comic book news for today. Be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. Now go over to Instagram to check out photos of our aggressively cute puppy, Roscoe. Now, if you'd like to contribute financially, and, Lord knows we wish you would, check out the show notes, visit the TeePublic store, buy a t-shirt, and so much more. Head on over to multiversetonight.com. And if you're a subscriber, thank you. Thank you very much. Be sure to share us with all your friends. If you're brand new to the show, please be sure to hit subscribe or follow, depending on your podcast app. And while you're at it, leave me with some feedback. I can't get any better unless I know what I'm doing wrong. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching the comic book edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in just 2 weeks with a brand new sci-fi and comic book edition. Now please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2021. All rights reserved. And that brings us to the end of our recordings for today. I'd like to, thank anyone who watched this over on YouTube or anywhere else they've found it. And again, we'll be back in a couple weeks.